Welcome to the Digital Dreaming Off the Ground podcast. I'm joined today by three-time guest, podcast extraordinaire, and just an overall overachiever, Marques Ogden. Marques, how you doing today, brother?
How you doing, Asif? I'm doing well, man. By yourself?
Doing good, doing good. No, so you've been busy. I mean, Doug Flutie, Brett Favre. I mean, damn, it's hard to keep up. And the authentic, Get Authentic with Marques Ogden is now number one top 30 rated podcast on Spotify. I mean, you've been really busy.
Nah, man, things are going well, man. We're in the top 2% worldwide, most listened to podcasts globally. We're in the top 100 for sports on Apple. We have 137 out of 137 5-star ratings, and we're very fortunate, man. People love the show, they love our guests, and they just love the authenticity of what we got going on.
100%. You know, obviously, authenticity is really what makes it go distance. And I just saw a hand appear and I'm guessing is that your daughter or your son?
It is. It's my 8-year-old daughter, man.
The joys of fatherhood.
You got that right, brother. I've been doing it for a long time, and I love it.
Love it. Yeah. Let's talk about because I listened to your Doug Flutie episode. I listened to Brett Favre, and kind of some of the topics you talked about are kind of motivation, commitment, authenticity. And you also mentioned one thing which I really caught interesting. You asked Brett Favre kind of a generational question about why do you think kids today, are kind of, are kind of out of touch or kind of out of sync? And Brett gave you the answer, basically that a lot of kids today, they focus too much on the likes and the perception of getting likes on social media. Do you also see that? And do you agree with that? Or kind of how do you obviously, there is a generational gap, right? Between now today's, not just, generation, like NFL players and everyone across the board. But do you think social media has kind of permeated and made it so now everyone thinks social media is reality and everyone is just focused on whatever is gonna get buzz and likes on IG?
Yeah, man, I think unfortunately a lot of people, not just young, I think people in general are looking for that validation, looking for that sense of belonging. And sometimes when you're putting out content, if you're doing it just for the likes or the hearts or the comments, I feel it's not authentic. And you should put out content that's good. You may only get 3 or 4 likes, or you may get 500 likes. It shouldn't really matter. And honestly, I tell people all the time, you need to put out content that resonates with people, that's going to give them some sort of inspiration, some sort of hope, because right now that's what the world needs. That's why our show, we got into the top 2% worldwide after only 6 weeks, because our main theme is authenticity and authentic. And everybody from Brett Favre to Marlon Kerner to Gus Farrat to Lee Kemp to all these individuals, Luisa Mendoza, all of our guests have that one main theme in common: amazing people with amazing stories. We interviewed a Mother Teresa Award recipient, Jillian Haslam, who talked about growing up in the slums of India. She lived under a flight of steps for a little while. Where she was in India, 3,000 people shared 3 toilets. I mean, it's unreal. And those are the stories that I feel, Asif, that people need to hear, because right now, a lot of us are going through hard times, through COVID, trying to rebound, inflation. Gas is coming back down somewhat, but still transportation, logistical issues. So we try to focus on people's story. We shot 9 podcast episodes yesterday, 9 in a row.
Wow. Man, talk about work, baby. Got that work.
You got to, man. If you're not working, man, then you're not getting out there, getting in front of people. If you're not getting in front of people, man, then you're not growing. If you're not growing, then you're dying.
100%. You said perfectly, and I love that. Obviously, for the content you put out, and obviously the amount of effort and time you invest, to kind of grow your network, to build your brand. Obviously, you've been very successful at it. Even for me, when I was on a podcast, with Jason Wilson, right? Obviously, he asked me the question about kind of, after not playing, even though I didn't play in the NFL like you, playing the arena, kind of how we both did AIF. After I stopped playing, right? Kind of how did I transition, right? And like you said, I mean, it's all about networking, it's all about growing, it's all about building, it's all about marketing. Because then I grow, you grow, we all grow, right? And we're all able to kind of make ourselves better individuals. And I think that's really critical, because nowadays I think complacency is really a dominating trend, right, in society today. I think people get too comfortable. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, man, because it's easy to stay complacent. It's easy to not go out of your comfort zone. I just did a talk for a company called MPI, and I talked about one of the big things that holds us back is mental barriers, and it's the limiting beliefs that we set on ourselves, and it keeps us in our comfort zone, it keeps us in a box. So that's what it really boils down to. And if you're not willing to adjust and make moves and get out of that situation, then I feel you're going to always just be right in that retrospect, stuck, not knowing where to go, not knowing what to do. And I feel that is where people struggle because they don't have that next step to either strive for or try to achieve because they don't understand their whole purpose or their whole plan of where they're trying to go.
100%. I totally agree with that. And I think it's great. I'm glad that you kind of referenced a real life example because, I can also kind of, it's all so many different examples of, even for me, when I give, because people reach out to me for kind of, career guidance, whether it's, doing project management, whether it's getting contracts or whatever. My advice is all the same. You got to step out of your comfort zone. You got to be able to really step into an unknown, because until you do that, you won't know what you're truly capable of. You know what I mean? And I think it's so paramount. So.
Amen, man. Because if you're not willing to step out of your comfort zone, then you don't know the level of success you can truly optimize and have the peak performance that you could really desire or truly a lot of times deserve if you're not willing to step out of your comfort zone. So that makes a lot of sense in that regard.
100%. All right, so now we got maybe 7-8 minutes. Let's go ahead and talk about some NFL. I mean, obviously, this team right here, the 49ers, Jimmy G and Trey. And last time you were on the show, we actually, I think we both incorrectly predicted the Chiefs were going to win the Super Bowl. And so it is what it is. I mean, that's the beauty of the NFL, right? It's any given Sunday. So kind of who are you looking out for? I mean, have you watched any preseason, and kind of has anyone really stuck out to you? The preseason?
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of preseason. The Raiders look good. They've got adding Devontae Adams has done a really good job for them. Hunter Renfro's that's a great 1-2 punch. They have to fix their O-line. Their O-line's a little bit struggling right now. I did watch the Rams play a little bit. They looked pretty decent. I watched the Ravens play. The Titans. Actually, I had on my show. This episode will come out on Friday. I had on their assistant head coach, my old teammate Anthony Weber, was on the show. So the Ravens look good. But again, haven't really chance to really see a whole lot, in that regard, because it just hasn't been a whole lot coming out yet. But I have seen the Rams. I have seen the Ravens. I have seen, the Raiders. So, there's a couple of good spots in that regard that are kind of looking, good, couple of different teams in that regard. But, you're still going to have the Chiefs. You're going to have the Bucks. You're going to have the Ravens. You're going to have the Bills. You got a lot of great football that's coming down the pike. So it should be interesting to see what some of these guys, some of their new teams, I can't remember a time where you had so many big name players on new teams. Like you've got, Matt Ryan in Indianapolis, you've got, Marcus Mariota now starting down in Atlanta. You've got, there's a lot of, you got Devontae Adams now in with the Raiders. So you've got a lot of big name guys that have moved on to other teams.
100%. No, there's been so much movement, right? I mean, you mentioned the kind of names, obviously Russell Wilson in Denver. That's also a huge kind of, acquisition. And it's been one of the most volatile off seasons. I mean, in NFL to date, and to memory, in my memory, So
I agree totally. Russell Wilson in Denver, blockbuster trade there. So I mean, honestly, like I said, I don't even know who is Seattle starting quarterback. Is it Drew Lock, or who is their starting quarterback?
Geno and Drew so far. Geno Smith.
Yeah, right. So I think, yeah. So I mean, it should be interesting to see how they do without Russell Wilson. What does that look like? What does Denver look like now that they've got, a really good quarterback, but they're struggling at wide receiver, I feel, so there's a lot of really interesting things that happen this offseason. So we'll kind of see where it all transpires and kind of where it all, plays out.
100%. And it's going to be very interesting to see because of all the new names and all the new kind of situations. I mean, and funny you mentioned your ex-teammate or who's on the Ravens. My college coach, Coach Dub, guest of the show, is the assistant passing coordinator of the Ravens. So,
okay, good.
Yeah, this real quick, if I can show you right there. This guy right there, you might know him. You play with him. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, even though I'm a Niners fan, I still got love for the Ravens. John Harbaugh.
Man, John Harbaugh's a really good guy, man. John's a great guy, Jim, and then their father, Jack, was my O-line coach when I played in the Hula Bowl in 2003.
All right. Yeah.
Mhm.
I forgot about that. Jack Harbaugh. Another
Mhm.
great name people may or may not know, right? Kind of the originator of the Harbaugh family tree.
Of
So, I mean,
course.
yeah. And it's crazy. I mean, when you think about it, Lamar Jackson, actually, let's talk about this, obviously, because I really want to touch on this point. You brought this up back in January. Todd Bowles, and we talked about this on the podcast last year on the show. We talked about the lack of African American head coaches in the NFL. Todd Bowles and the lawsuit, he was right. Stephen Ross and everything, the sabotage, the NFL basically had to penalize Stephen Ross and Todd Bowles and the Steelers. That's another team which actually looked pretty good with Kenny Pickett. So, I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of intrigue. I'm wondering, I'm looking to see kind of if there's going to be a shift in coaching towards more minority head coaching candidates.
I would like to think so. I mean, the coach for the Dolphins is half African American. They hired Lovie Smith in Houston, and then
Yeah.
my old coach from Howard, Pep Hamilton, is their OC. My old teammate Ted White is their quarterback coach. Anthony Weaver, assistant head coach with the Baltimore Ravens. Anthony Lynn, assistant head coach with the San Francisco 49ers.
Yep.
So I'm seeing more and more, and I feel they did Brian Flores did get hired by the Steelers. Mike Tomlin still in Pittsburgh. So I like to hope again. Todd Bowles now in Tampa. So I'm hoping. I thought Byron would have got a job this year, but I understand why he didn't take the Jacksonville job. He just wanted to have a general manager that worked with him, and Adrian Wilson, who was a former player, would have been awesome. But they go another route, so that's
Yeah.
fine, and it is what it is. But I'm hoping to see a lot more, and we're starting to see a shift in some assistant head coaches that are African American, which is really, really nice. And hopefully that'll progress into more head coaches that are African American in the NFL. So again, like I said, with the guy in Miami, half African American, then you've got Todd Bowles, and you've got Lovie Smith and Mike Tom. Now you've got 4 African American head coaches in the NFL this year.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. The ties have definitely changed. There's a lot of great things to look out for, and like I said, even like my college coach me on the Ravens. Hopefully that might transpire to eventually maybe a wide receiver's full-time opportunity or being an OC somewhere. But I think you're right. Seeing the landscape shift is definitely a good thing, and it's been an issue. So I'm glad to see some change around the league.
Me as well, my friend. We need, the only way you can really bring about change is innovation. You have to
Right.
be innovative, you have to be creative, and that will spark change to help bring about new thought processes to get people to see new ways of doing things and doing business.
100%. I love that. And so, kind of with the final kind of minutes we have left, anything you want to touch upon? Anything else that your current Get Authentic with Marques Ogden or 11 Marcus show? Yeah, go ahead.
No, man, just, I'm no longer doing the 11 Marcus show. I'm strictly now doing the Get Authentic with Marques Ogden show. Check us out. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeart, Stitcher, Pandora, Amazon. Check us out. We have a great, great podcast with great people. Again, diversity, men, women, athletes, corporate executives, business owners, people that are trying to transition, people that are going to new phases of life. We have, humanitarians. We've got, business owners all across the board. So we're all about amazing people with amazing stories. So check us out, and we love to have you support us and subscribe and check out our stuff.
100%. You guys, you heard it here first. Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. Go check it out. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. I've listened to a few episodes myself. Like I talked about, it's definitely the real deal. All right. So, Marcus, appreciate you joining the show, big dog. Thank you very kindly. God bless, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
All right.
Appreciate it, Steve, man.
Yes, sir, man. It was great.
Sounds good.